How did Marianne from You actually survive in season 4? Now we know that her and Nardia came up with a plan. Two plans, actually. The first was to get a knife and to end Joe's life permanently, and the second was to take a bunch of beta blockers, enough to where it would slow her heart rate down to where she would seem dead, and Joe would let her go. And we see that it worked brilliantly, but this was an incredibly dangerous plan because for a number of Joe's kills, he murdered them in ways that if that person was actually alive, then it would kill them. For instance, with Love, he burns the house down with her in it. Obviously, that would have killed Marianne if she was alive. And also with the neighbor Natalie, he wrapped her up incredibly tightly in that plastic bag and then buried her. And same with Candace, he buried her alive. Now, as I mentioned, those last two, and especially Candace, you might think, well, she actually survived. Yes, but remember that Marianne, in order to come back to life, Nardia had to give her a stimulant to reverse the effects. And she was so worried that she wouldn't get there in time to save her. So Nardia had to be close enough to Marianne to do this in enough time that it could work. Because if she gave her that stimulant too late, it wouldn't work. And so if Joe had wrapped up Marianne's body and put her in the woods or buried her alive, Nardia would have needed to be close enough to give the stimulant. And being in the woods and the time of day that he buried his victims, Joe would easily be able to see Nardia or hear her if she was too close. And so she would have to stay a far enough distance away. By the time that Joe disposed of the body and left, he wouldn't be able to see or hear her. And by the time she would have gotten to Marianne to give her that stimulant, it's likely that she would have been dead for real. So this was incredibly risky. And the biggest thing that saved Marianne is the note, where she said, "Bury my body somewhere that would be found." Why did that save Marianne? Because she was tapping into Joe's twisted and sick sense of love and being a good guy and doing anything for love. She knew that Joe thinks that he's a good person, and so in seeing her die in this way, he'd want to really honor her wishes, because in his mind, he did really love her. And that's what we see. He knew that Marianne had a daughter and didn't want her daughter to be left consistently wondering what happened to her mother, and so honored this wish. So that is how Marianne truly escaped from the cage, and that's really the reason that this plan was so brilliant. She knew that Joe was delusional and took full advantage of that to save her life.